Hi, I'm George, the aquascaper, and this video is all about how I created this little beauty, so stay tuned. So if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. You'll learn loads about aquascaping and planted aquariums, loads of really cool inspirational videos as well, so give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit that bell notification, and every time I post a new video you'll get automatically notified. So before I start scaping, I want to tell you a quick story. Some friends of ours recently got married. They've got their own house and they do well for themselves, so we thought, what can we get them as a wedding present? And I said, I could set them up an aquascape. So here we are. This is why I'm doing this right here today in Aquarium Gardens. Just a big shout out to Aquarium Gardens, awesome shop in England. Loads of really cool planted tank products, aquascaping products. The owner, Dave Pearce, has kindly given me free rein to use any plants I want. But yeah, by the end of this video you'll learn all about how to aquascape a Denalay and Nano cube. Okay, our first step is to install our substrate. I'm going to use two types. The first type is a inert quartz gravel, which is purely cosmetic, won't have any plants in there. And then behind that I'm going to use a commercial soil. This is great for feeding the plant roots. It also takes the nutrients from the water column, holds it into the soil to help further feed the plant roots. It's just a really good product. Okay, so I'm just going to add some inert quartz gravel. This is called Natural Gravel Fine. Comes in a 5 kilo bag. This is from a brand called Hugo Kamishi. It's actually quite clean. Don't really need to rinse it out. Most gravels you have to give them a really good clean, otherwise they really cloud the water. I've used this a few times now and I found it to be really quite clean, which is handy. So I'm just adding a portion of the gravel right to the front of the tank. So literally it's probably only a kilo there. Okay, so now it's a case of putting our stones at the front of the scape. I'm just going to move the gravel back a bit. More, it's kind of to protect the bottom of the tank, the glass, from the stones. We don't want to chip the glass, obviously. And now we put our stones in. So this is called fossilised wood stone. I've just given it a quick rinse. It does have a little bit of dust on it and we don't want to cloud the water, so I've just literally rinsed it quickly in some water there. We start off with our biggest stone there. This is going to be our kind of focal point stone. So it's really important to position this appropriately. It's got a very distinct strata. The strata is these lines that run up and down, and I think it would be more natural, because the tank is quite a tall tank, it would be quite natural to have the strata running up and down rather than left to right. So I'm looking at the stone, what's the most interesting kind of side. This is nice, it's got lots of kind of detail, lots of chunks taken out of it. And I think that way up looks most natural, so we'll just pop that in around about a third of the way along. Using the rule of thirds, it's a really good compositional guideline. If you put focal points a third of the way along the tank, it just looks a little bit more aesthetically balanced. So I'll work my way down in size. Let's put our other stone in. So the second biggest stone. Let's position that one about here. This is what we call the hardscaping process, and if you've watched any of my other videos you'll know how much I love the hardscaping process. It is a very, very important part of aquascaping. It's like the backbone of the aquascape. If we think about a human being, we have a skeleton, and in an aquascape the hardscape is like the skeleton. So if you have a strong hardscape, you'll very likely come up with a strong aquascape. So pop that one there, and then moving along again, this one should fit quite nicely here, like so. So these friends of ours, myself and Emma, my fiance, they've been following my work for a while. They've never kept an aquarium before, so I thought, what a really great present to give them an aquascape, and I'll give them some training on how to maintain it, and hopefully they'll really enjoy it and become, never know, they might become avid aquascapers themselves. So that's what it's all about, promoting the art of aquascaping. Okay, so just some final adjustments on the rock there. Just got a final bit of detailing to do at the front. Just pop that in there, and there we go, that's the stonework pretty much done. You'll notice that the rocks are very similar colour to the gravel. The gravel will change colour slightly when it's wet, but it's really important to match your stone with your gravel if you're using a cosmetic gravel. Okay, so now it's time to add our soil. We've got about 2 litres here in a jug. I'm just going to pour it in behind the rocks. And I always like to slope it more towards the rear. It gives an enhanced sense of depth to the scape. I just need to add a little bit more now. Okay, so we've got another 2 litres here. This should be enough hopefully now. So 4 litres altogether. And this is actually a really fine grain size, which is ideal for nanos. And then we can just smoothen it out, use a credit card. And the idea is the rocks hopefully prevent that soil from migrating forward onto the cosmetic gravel, which will otherwise look ugly. Another top tip is you can actually wedge filter wool in between the stones there out of sight, and that will also help to prevent any migration. Okay, so we've got our cosmetic gravel in the front now, we've got our rocks, we've got our soil. Next step is to put our wood in there. Really excited about this one. This is directly from the Amazon. I picked this up at a trade show 2 weeks ago. A wholesaler of fish who get their fish directly from the Amazon brought some wood over. So they gave some to me, which is really, really cool. Hopefully it will become available. It does look really nice. Don't think it's even got a proper name for it yet, but yeah, directly from the Amazon. I've pre-soaked it, it is sinking, so hopefully it won't float when I fill up with water. But really interesting. It's a very hard wood. I'm hoping it won't kind of degrade and crumble after time like some woods. But yeah, really nice. So we're just going to position that in a way that looks as natural and as interesting as possible. So I think something like this. There we go. I think that looks quite cool. Maybe have a little bit of a play around. And the thing with hardscaping is it's really important to spend a lot of time on it, get it right, do it while the tank's dry so you're not making any mess. But I'm happy with that. I like the way the wood is kind of creeping over the stone there, it looks quite natural. The wood is actually quite close to the glass, so I might just move that away, otherwise it's going to be really tricky to clean the glass. Okay, that's better. Looks more balanced, I think. Easier to clean the glass. So do bear in mind your maintenance, you know. If you've got hardscape that's right up against the glass, it is going to be tricky to clean, so you do need to bear that in mind. Okay, before we plant, we need to wet the soil. That makes planting much easier. Okay, so here's our plants. Really easy plants, all slow growing, all low maintenance, all tolerate low light, non-CO2 injection. The couple that I'm giving this scape to have no experience with aquariums at all, so I deliberately want to keep it super easy. Going to be using low levels of lighting. So I'm using crypts mainly, crypts and Winterloff fern and some Christmas moss. So the Christmas moss has been growing in established aquascapes already in the shop, so I've just helped myself to that. We've got some lovely Winterloff Java fern there, which is attached to a little bit of coconut shell. So it's super easy, just pop that in wherever you need it to go. We've got some Cryptocoryne balancei. This is typically too big for a nano aquarium, but I want to get some instant height in there to make the aquascape attractive right away, and then we can replace that longer term, no problem. And this is one of my favourite crypts at the moment. This is Cryptocoryne albedo brown from Tropica. Beautiful coloration. Look at that, nice slender long sword type leaves. Doesn't grow too tall either. Then we've got another new crypt from Tropica. This is called Oosteriana. Beautiful. I find it goes like a really nice mottled red and green colour. Then we've got some small crypts. These look like they're called. This is from Aquadip. This is Cryptocoryne parva, and then we've got some more crypt parva by the look of it from Aquaflora, although they call it Cryptocoryne mix. I'm pretty sure that's parva. And then we've got some Cryptocoryne costata, and again that will give us a lovely red tinge as well in the right conditions. So super easy plants, but it should look really nice still. We don't need to rely on really demanding, tricky plants to create a high impact aquascape. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you how I prepare my pots of crypts. Really simple. Remove the label. Labels are really cool. They tell you where it comes from, the growth conditions, what lighting it needs, temperature, tolerance, etc. Grab the main bit of the plant, just remove it from the rock wool like so, remove it from the pot, peel away the rock wool, and then you're left with a clump of crypts basically. Remove any yellowing leaves. Removing them will stimulate new growth, and it will basically prevent the plant from trying to repair those leaves, which makes the plant use lots of energy, and that energy is better spent growing new leaves. So you just remove any unhealthy leaves. And then we just split it up into individual portions like so. And you can split it up as many times as you like. The more you split it up, the better coverage you'll get. And we just repeat that process. Remove the rock wool. You can do this underwater. You can remove the rock wool underwater, which tends to make it a little bit easier. The rock wool is basically fiberglass, which is soaked in nutrients. And just remove those yellow leaves. It doesn't matter if you leave a little bit of rock wool in the aquarium, it doesn't do any harm. Again, split it up. Like so. And then third pot. When I first started the hobby, I used to plant my complete pots in the tank, pot and all, didn't know any better. Thankfully things have moved on a little bit since then, and most people know what to do. But if you don't, it's no problem. This is why these videos are useful, for hopefully everyone from beginners to people that kind of know what they're doing. Hopefully it provides information and inspiration for all levels of planted tank and aquascaper keeper. There we go. Split that up a bit more. And there we have our crypts all ready to plant. Okay, so now it's the case of planting. So the crypt parva is the smallest crypt, that goes in the foreground. So I'm going to pop that right at the front here. You can see I spilt some gravel on top of the soil. That's no problem. It's not going to affect anything in the aquarium at all. Just looks a little bit unsightly. But we're going to cover their soil pretty much 100% with plants, so it will hide that gravel anyway. So we just grab our plant in the tweezers and then just push it in the substrate, gently let go, and then the plant will hopefully stay there. You can plant it as deep as you like. I normally push it down a couple of centimetres. As long as the roots are completely surrounded by the soil, that's generally fine for most species. And the soil's a little bit dry down here, but you can still plant into it. Hopefully it won't float. The plant won't float when we fill it with water. That's always a bit of a drama, but if we fill slowly with water, normally the plants don't float. If they do float, that's no problem. We just replant them with our tweezers. So you can probably tell that the tweezers are kind of essential in this situation for planting. It would be really tricky to plant with our fingers in this small tank with these small plants. So definitely recommend getting yourself a nice pair of tweezers if you can. Not expensive. Okay, last few crypt parva to plant now, only a few more to go, and then we'll move on to our next biggest crypt, and I'll show you exactly what we do with that. I love crypt parva. It's really slow growing. I found one of the slowest growing crypts out there, and that makes it really good for a low maintenance aquascape. when I started the hobby, I was all about trying to grow plants as quickly as I could. But now it's more the other way around. It's trying to grow plants as slowly as I can, because maintenance is a bit of a chore when I'm generally quite busy these days. And like I said, the tank is actually for some friends of ours, and I'm sure they don't want to be doing hours of maintenance a week, so deliberately chosen the plants appropriately to keep it low maintenance. Okay, that's all the crypt harbor in there. Okay, one of my favourite crypts of all time and relatively new to the hobby, Cryptocorini albida brown from Tropica. Again, a very easy plant, and we prepare it exactly the same way as the parva. What I do is just the top tip is just to tear the roots back, just so you have about 1 centimetre or 2 centimetres or so of roots, and that tearing of the root just does stimulate new root growth, which is a good thing, and it also makes the planting process a little easier. So just remove that rock wool, separate it into the different portions. If there's any kind of ugly brown bits, that means they're probably dying off, so we want to remove that if we can. Okay, so the planting is almost there. We've planted all the crypts. I think it looks really good already, but it's going to look even better in a minute when I put some moss and ferns in there. Okay, so first of all I'm going to put some of the Microsorum Windelov in here, and it's attached to coconut shell, so all we have to do is literally just push it wherever we want. So I'm quite keen to cover this area down here. I mean, if you didn't have the coconut shell, if it's in a pot, you prepare it just like we prepared the other pots, but then you just attach the fern with thread or super glue. Okay, so now it's just a case of putting our moss in there. Now, most people think about moss attached to wood, but I actually just like to poke it in between the rocks. I think it adds a lovely sense of sort of natural and wild appearance, and it should hopefully creep over the stones to give a really nice aged appearance. So this moss has been growing for, well, over a year in one of the mature scapes we've got here at Aquarium Gardens, and I thin it out pretty much every week, so really handy to have these plants on hand to use. Okay, that's the plant complete. Really happy with it, it looks great. We planted it deliberately really quite densely to give the aquascape the best chance of success. One of the big things with a new tank, a new aquascape, is the risk of nuisance algae. So one of the best ways to prevent that is to plant really heavily, and then the plants will hopefully outcompete the algae. And I always like to think of algae and plants in kind of competition with each other, so the more plants we have, the better we look after those plants, the more chance we have of the plants growing really well, which means less chance of algae. Okay, that's the aquascape complete. All I need to do now is fit the filtration. So just a small internal filter, that's all that's needed in here. I'm going to drain the water, transport it to the newlyweds as a wedding present in a week or so. Before I do that, I'm just going to let it mature at home, and it will just get settled in and should look really good. I'm hoping the married couple will be very happy with it. I'm really happy with it. I've really enjoyed making the video and doing the aquascape. I hope you have too. If you have, please give us a subscribe and a like. and keep on scaping. Cheers, bye bye. Okay, this is really exciting. I'm actually at Becky and Liam's home. This is the married couple that I talk about, newlyweds, just moved into their beautiful new home. And like I said, as a surprise, as a present, I've set up this Nano cube for them. So it looks really good. I've added a few new plants, just some Bucophilandra, and have a little tidy up, and it looks really cool. I'm really happy with it. They're literally next door. They haven't seen it at all yet. They know they're having a tank, but they have no idea what to expect. So this is live, this is real, it's not edited or, you know, it's not acting, it's genuine. So when you see their reaction, it's going to be for real. So hopefully they really enjoy it. So just let's see how it goes. Okay, I'm going to call them in a minute and then let's see their faces. God, I hope they like it. Okay guys, do you want to come through? There he is, Liam and Becky.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's amazing.
That is awesome.
Oh,
You're not just saying it, are you?
Look at that.
I love it.
Can you see the shrimp?
That is absolutely quality.
No, I can't see the shrimp.
There's some in there.
Look, there you go. Look, there.
They'll grow much bigger, they'll probably go faster.
Yeah, I can see.
Happy?
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you.
The cabinet
It's
matches
unbelievable.
The cabinet matches
Yeah, it does
your
actually,
decor really
doesn't it?
well, doesn't it?
I absolutely love it. I think it's superb.
Cool.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's great.
I love all the rocks
Yeah,
and everything
you're
in
right.
it as well. Because I had no idea what you were going to do, if you were going to do like the rocks or the woody. Oh,
That's
it's
brilliant.
amazing.
It's super low maintenance as well, so
well, that's
Oh, I
good.
can see it now, look.
it's all really easy plants. I'll tell you what to. I'll give you a maintenance
that's
schedule, but yeah, I'm really pleased you like it.
Oh, I
that's
love
amazing.
it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you guys. Honestly, it's
Definitely, it's the
amazing.
best wedding present.
Is it?
Yeah. No, don't tell anyone else.
Yeah. Well, you've got most things, haven't you? So it's just nice to give you
Oh,
something.
yeah, it's-
Oh, it's amazing.
bit unique.
When we opened the book up, we were so shocked. Like, we just thought it's such a nice and so personal from you guys. Like, it's just a really cute present. It's amazing. Oh, it's lovely. I love that. Thank you so much.
Here in Becky and Liam's beautiful new home. Thank you for inviting me. We've set up this beautiful Nano cube for you guys. It's a wedding present from myself and Emma. What do you think?
I love it. I think it's very personal and so unique. I just think it's amazing.
So yeah, nice little system, really easy, and I look forward to seeing it mature. Maybe I'll come back in a month or so and do a follow-up.
That's
on it.
allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So
yeah, we love it. Thank you. It's a really, really lovely present.
yeah, you're welcome.
Very pleased.
More than happy. It's great.
Cool. There we go, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, give us a subscribe and a like, and keep on scaping.
Yeah, you do.
This is going to be the opening sequence of the video.
Music on or off?
On's quite good.
On's nice.
A little bit of D&B in the background.
Yeah.
Children on birth.
Hi. Find out how to aquascape this beautiful nano cube. Stay tuned. Got to grab